We are live. What is going on, everybody? This is episode 41 of the Boxing Fanatico live show. I hope you guys are here, ready, waiting, and ready to have a good old time as we talk about these new developments when it comes to brain damage with Errol Spence Jr. going into the fight with Terence Crawford. Let's go ahead and switch over real quick. What is going on, guys? How are you doing? We have to start with the Let's Go champ. Why do I not have it up? That's on me. My bad. Sometimes I gotta set this up, and I'm always setting a bunch of stuff up, and I forget. But we always gotta do it with Hashim. Thank you so much, brother. Let's go, champ. We starting it off with Hashim 47, and of course, the man, the myth, the legend, the other man, the myth, the legend. Because Hashim 47, you a man, you a myth, you a legend. Is Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen,
let's start the show, Mike. Let's get ready to rumble. Now, let's look at what you guys are saying real quick. Hold on. Adrian Dones, what's going on? What's up, brother? Rogish, you can tell damage was done to Spence. Boxing lost a great fighter, but I hope he does make moves to take care of his health. As a Spence fan, Adrian Dones is from Adrian Dones, there are no excuses, but it's just that much better. No need for a rematch. Rogish, what up, fam? Sup, Fanatico? What's going on, Rogish? And Jalen Lawson, people making that excuse don't realize that's disrespectful if not true. I hope Spence does a lot better in the rematch, even if he doesn't win. I like both guys and don't want him to be embarrassed. Okay. All right. First, let's talk about something real quick. Number one, good news. The pay-per-view numbers are being reported. There's nothing concrete yet. But the pay-per-view numbers that are coming in from inside sources are putting the pay-per-view numbers at around 600 to 700,000, right on the money of my prediction, by the way. Right? Am I not the prediction god? I feel like I have to be the prediction god. I predicted the 1 million pay-per-view buys for Tank versus Garcia a year before it happened. Then I also predicted that it was going to do a million pay-per-view buys to the run-up of it. And then this fight, looking at, and the thing is, you know what it is? My predictions never come from like a place of like, hey, let me see how I feel about this. No, I always do like this incredible, unnecessary amount of research. I look at the YouTube numbers for certain things. I look at the attendance for certain things in terms of weigh-ins and stuff like that. I look at the crowd. I look at the reaction, buzz. I look at how many of my friends who don't know about boxing know about this fight. There's so many different metrics that I put together. Then I say to myself, okay, this is going to do roughly around this number. And it usually is right on the money on what I'm like, usually right on the money. I said over 1 million for Tank versus Ryan when that was unheard of at the time because no one was cracking 1 million. Even Canelo versus Plant did about 700,000. So that was crazy, but I had that feeling because of all the metrics. They were doing really good numbers on their all access episodes, and you could see those numbers on YouTube. They were doing like 4 million, right? 5 million on those episodes. So I'm like, this is looking pretty strong here. Then all of my friends knew about the fight when they don't know about any of those fights. And then also the amount of people that showed up to the weigh-in and all these different things. I put all that together, and I did something similar for the Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence, and it fell literally in the ballpark of where I put it. I think De La Hoya said he's predicting 500,000 pay-per-view buys using the metrics that I put together for to analyze what the numbers would be. I said 600 to 700,000, and that's what's being reported. It's being reported 600 to 700,000, maybe a little bit more, maybe in between 600 to 700. We don't know, but that's the rough estimate, which is the exact rough estimate that I put. And even though it's not 1 million, because we know that the million is the mythical number. It's the pretty number. It's the minty fresh 1 million. You want to have a 1 million pay-per-view under your belt. The gate did really well too. I think it did around 21 million revenue on the gate at the T-Mobile Arena. Same arena that was used for Tank versus Ryan that did around 22 million. So they're doing pretty good in terms of the money. This was a super fight that pulled through, that showed that super fights can be made in boxing. This will help Canelo Benavidez be made in the future. I promise you, because all they got to do is to look at Benavidez and look at Canelo and say, look, when fights are big enough, we can pull an audience, and we can get an audience to get to this thing to 750. Maybe we get you guys, since you're more known than both Spence and Crawford, we could probably get y'all over that 1 million mark. They'll use this as a data point. So that's actually really, really good news. Rogus, nice. Where do you think this fight finishes financially? I don't know. I don't know over time what the bleed-in number, because the thing is, numbers keep bleeding in. I think even after like 6 months after Mayweather fought Manny Pacquiao, because so many people because it was so many people bought it. Did somebody just subscribe? Puff Saddy, thank you so much for the subscription on YouTube. Because so many people watched it and bought it, it was hard to actually get the official numbers. So numbers were bleeding in after. Plus the replays that they're going to get from this, there's going to be a lot of residual income for both fighters. Hold on one second. Let me see. Hey, they saying they clone Spence. The cloning of people, I think, is one of the most hilarious thing ever. So here's the thing. Can you actually clone people? Yes. But it don't work like the movies, bro. You can't take an adult and then just make another adult. That's not how it works. For them to have cloned Spence, they would have to have known that Spence was going to be a world championship boxer from the moment he was born. Take his DNA and then make another person so that they could be roughly the same age. So they had to, it's a lot of work that goes in. You got to predict that he's going to be a world championship boxer. You have to predict that he's going to have a problem with the likes of a Terence Crawford. And then when you predict that he has, he's going to have a problem, then you go ahead and make a baby that grows up. You train that baby to be able to box just as good as Errol Spence, with the same cadence, same everything. So he has to be very meticulous, because then if not, you drop the ball. And then you got to hope that it all falls into place for the moment that you do the swap out to put the clone. Like, you can't just clone an adult into another adult. It can't do that. The thing has to grow. You can't get it, it doesn't materialize out of anywhere. If you get somebody's DNA, it literally has to grow. We can clone humans. That is possible. It's illegal. It's possible because we've done it to animals, but they have to start off as a baby and they got to be born inside. Somebody actually has to carry it for 9 months. Like it doesn't just come out of nowhere, guys. Like I'm sorry, but if he was cloned, that is an incredibly they predicted the future basically to pull this off, because no, they would have to listen. They would have to know that he would even be a professional boxer. It's too many different things. Stop. If that's true, clone and reach. They clone Spence. Xerox a human and that champion DNA. Yeah, they got to get everything. You basically describing the Charlo twin. They cloned the Charlo. They cloned Jermel. But then Jamal wasn't that good, so they just said, screw it, man. Y'all just twins. Just go out there. Just go out there as twins. No, I'm just kidding. Jamal ain't that bad. He's all right. Spence fan said it was the aliens. Nah, man. It wasn't no aliens, man. It wasn't no aliens. All right, so another thing that I want to talk about. Devin Haney has been stripped of the WBC title. Devin Haney is no longer 135-pound WBC champion, which means he is no longer undisputed. Didn't I tell you guys? Didn't I tell you that? And I tweeted it. I said on the day before or on the day of the deadline, Devin Haney is going to announce that he's fighting Regis Prograis. And they announced in October, Regis Prograis and Devin Haney will fight for the WBC title at 140. Because of this, the WBC has stripped Devin Haney, but as a middle ground thing, they've made him the champion in recess, which means he has any opportunity at any point, which is not going to happen at all. He's not going to exercise this. But he has the opportunity at any point to come back down to 135 and challenge for his 130 for his WBC belt if he ever wants it. I don't think that's going to happen. But guess what? Shakur is number one contender for the belt. The number two is Lomachenko. So Shakur versus Lomachenko is a fight that we are now going to get because the WBC title is vacant and Shakur Stevenson is the number one contender to do it. So that's going to be really, really good. I'm hyped for that. I want to see Shakur. I want to see what Shakur does with Lomachenko. Spoiler alert, Shakur is going to win that fight. And you already know your boy's on a 6 fight prediction streak. So if anybody's going to predict this correctly, it's going to be Boxing Fanatico. Hold on, let's see. The amount of excuses I've heard for Spence is disgusting. This is like the Wilder situation all over again. Yeah, man. At first, remember, and Wilder's was like evolved over time. And I remember people would come in here, even when I was talking about boxing video games, people would come in here and be like, yo, so you really don't think that they spiked his water? Oh, so you a clown then? I'm like, what? I'm the clown because I don't think that a conspiracy theory thing that was never proven, that even after the drug test that showed nothing was in his system, I'm the one that's the clown and you the one that's on the right path? Come on now, man. Come on. Just be real with yourself. Stop fanboying. Stop caring about fighters over the sport. Care about the sport first and then pick fighters after. Stop caring so much about the fighters that you don't even really care about the sport. You only care about the fighters. They're releasing the 135 Dragon Balls. They let it go into the wild. Now it's going into Shakur Stevenson's hands. That's what's about to happen. I never called fighters duck, but it definitely looks like he ducked Shakur now. Yeah, I mean, he's moving to 140. He hinted at it. I don't know if it's so much a duck as it is just him feeling like he can't make the weight anymore, and it's tough for him. But it's conveniently tough for him to not make the weight anymore when Shakur Stevenson is the number one contender. I don't know. He was gung-ho to fight Kambosos twice at 135 and Lomachenko once. But once it's like, oh, but, Shakur Stevenson is the number one contender. He's like, yo, you know what, man? I can't stay down here, man. Like, man, 135, man. It's like it's sucking the wind out of me. I got to move up to 140. Like, if not, I'm going to die. Your opinion on Tank versus Shakur. Shakur wins. Shakur will beat Tank. Tank is really good. I think this will be probably Shakur's biggest opposition and difficulty, but only because Tank has that one-punch power. Shakur will have to look out for that the entire time. But in terms of the moment to moment, is going to be Shakur outboxing Tank. There'll be a good fight, but man, Tank is an animal. Yeah. Shakur is really skilled. Excited for that fight. Yes, that's going to be his biggest competition. I think it's going to be Shakur. Tank. In Wilder's case, it was him making all the excuses. I don't think Spence's. No. Wilder. I remember this very vividly. Wilder followed suit to the excuses that came out from the fans. The fans made the excuse, and then Wilder attached himself to the excuses. I guess he was on social media, he was reading it, and he was like, man, you know what? That's probably what did happen. And then they ran with that. But he didn't manifest that stuff in the beginning. The one that he manifested was the suit. He said the suit was too heavy. But after the suit, the water spike, the Mark Breland being against him and being like a mole or whatever, Tyson Fury with the weights inside the gloves. And by the way, guys, y'all need to get Purby to the Mexican Everlast gloves. There's Mexican Everlast gloves. Then there are the other types of gloves that use foam. Mexican Everlast use horsehair. What happens with horsehair is more malleable in terms of the way you can move your glove. That's why Terence Crawford can go like this, because it's horsehair. It's not like this sturdy, hard foam. Stop looking at foam gloves and comparing them directly with Everlast Mexican gloves, the Mexican brand gloves, because they're legal. They're legal. It's the same weight, and they both have a pro and con. For example, the foam gloves, right? They don't hurt as much when you hit someone. However, they protect your hands way more. But the Mexican Everlast gloves, they hurt way more because it feels more solid, but it hurts your hand more. So if you're someone who suffers with hand injuries or your hands are brittle, like Floyd Mayweather, no matter how much he wanted to, he could never wear Mexican Everlast gloves because his hands would break. His hands was breaking with foam gloves. So he couldn't do that. So the glove gate stuff got to stop. That's the same thing that Tyson Fury uses. He uses the Mexican Everlast gloves as horsehair, and it also spreads, right? So you'll see different like formations on different parts of it because it doesn't stay in one spot like a foam glove. It spreads. The horsehair moves around and it's malleable. It moves. It's flexible. So you'll see things like bends and stuff in spots where you normally won't see that in a glove that is a foam glove. That's it. That's it. But both have pros and cons. One can break your hand, one can protect your hand. One is more powerful, one is less powerful. Pros and cons for both. And they're legal. They're the same weight, they're the same ounces, they're legal. So please get that glove gate stuff and throw it out the window. I'm tired of hearing it. It's the same thing. It's like people have never seen the Mexican Everlast brands. Every time we see it, it's like, whoa, what's going on? It's just Mexican Everlast horsehair gloves. That's all it is. That's all it is. All right. So now let me see what you guys are saying before we go into the brain damage development on Errol Spence and before he went into the fight. All right, let's see here. Bro, they dead serious too. That's what makes it funny. They swear somebody cheating them. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's hard for people to take a win. It's called being salty. Yeah, I mean, I've even seen it with people when they do gaming competitions. They'll break their whole keyboard. They'll spike their controller. People get super salty. So sometimes people want to rationalize what is going on around them because they don't want to believe that something that they've echo chamber, especially if you were in an echo chamber. If you just pick Spence, you could be like, oh, yeah, he lost. But if you were in an echo chamber for 5 years, it's like, I'm telling you, it's part of like your frontal cortex, frontal lobe. It's literally part attached to you. It's no longer an idea. It's literally a flesh inside of your brain. So for someone to rip that out of you is incredibly jarring. So really what it is just the cognitive dissonance of seeing something that you thought you would never see because you drank the Kool-Aid of the fact that Errol Spence was going to win no matter what. Haney lost to Loma. He isn't beating Shakur. Hey, listen. Like I said, I don't say that he lost because it was a close fight. But I could see how somebody could see Loma winning. And I could see how people see Devin Haney winning. It was a close fight. By no means was it a fight of separation. How people are trying to make it seem like Devin Haney outboxed him and all that stuff. No, it was not a separation fight. It was a very close fight. I actually scored it for Loma when I was scoring it. But the judges were caring more about those once in a blue body punch, really hard body punches as opposed to the combinations that Loma was throwing upstairs that maybe weren't as hard. Although to me, I would argue that the hardest punches thrown in the fight were from Loma. And most of the rounds were very close with only 2 rounds having a good separation between them. And both of those rounds were, in my opinion, Lomachenko rounds, which I think was round 10 and 11. Shakur can definitely win by decision, but when Tank is on, he goes off, man. He sees everything and adjusts well. But so does Shakur. Shakur sees everything and adjusts as well. Tank's size will be a huge impediment against a master of range like Shakur. Yeah, oh my God. He's literally the master of range. Nobody has better range than him. Not even Bud Crawford controls range better than Shakur. You see how Bud Crawford gets caught on the inside sometimes? That doesn't even happen to Shakur at the highest level, right? At the world championship level. That doesn't even happen to Shakur Stevenson. But they're good in their own ways, right? Terence Crawford might be better than Shakur in regards to the overall things he could do. But I think in terms of distance control, which is one of the best things to have as a baseline tool, Shakur got it. But like I said, the best thing to have in boxing, period, so that you can remain undefeated, is the ability to adjust. And that's what Terence Crawford has. Get the lights up. Chat, 5 likes is crazy. Yeah, yo, come on, guys. Get the lights up. Let me give you a microphone real quick for the lights. Let's go. All right. True, them hands are brittle chips, just crumble, yeah. Spence was drugged, bro. Spence was drugged. Okay. So if he was drugged, it will show on the blood test, right? You have to do an immediate blood test. They have to take an A sample and a B sample right after. So that will come up. The same way with Deontay Wilder, if his water was spiked, that would come up on the reports. So if like a week later we see that he has THC or whatever in his system, then okay, he was drugged. But if nothing comes back, then he wasn't drugged. He was just relaxed or whatever. He was normal. Anyways, let's talk about this real quick. Now, where did this spark? People started saying that something looks off with Errol Spence. And by the way, I need to have my logo up and my email. Sorry about that. People were saying that something looks off with Spence, right? That when he was walking in, he didn't look the same. When he was moving around, he didn't look the same. But they all tie it back to one thing, which is the car accident. Now, I want to bring something up real quick. Just to see if we could agree on something here. Let's see here. Hold on one second. Let me just make sure that I have this all set. Let's see here. Okay, let's switch over to here. Okay, so Spence pay-per-view fight packs major performance punch. This is where they talk about that. But I want to see if I could pull up. Oh man, where? Let's see. Hold on one second. Let me see. Let me add a source real quick. I can't believe I didn't have this. Add a source. Screen capture. Let's see if this pulls up the screen capture that I need. Okay, here we go. All right, perfect. So it's here, right? So let's take a look at Errol Spence. And let's look at how he looks. This is Errol Spence Jr. during the Danny Garcia fight. This was after the car accident. Does he look that much different to this, which was before the car accident versus Mikey Garcia? To me, he looks very similar. Same droopy eye look, same sleepy look, very similar. This is Terence Crawford in the press conference for Ugas after the car accident. This is Terence Crawford in the press conference for Mikey Garcia before the car accident. Looks very similar to me. This is Terence Crawford in the press conference with Terence Crawford. This is Errol Spence in the press conference with Terence Crawford. Looks pretty similar to me. And this is his entrance. And I guess this is where people are saying, oh, he looks a little bit like drugged up or whatever. He looks drugged up. He looks all kind of like crazy or messed up. I don't see anything. I just see a person. Yeah, I said Terence Crawford, but I meant to say Errol Spence. My bad. I don't see all I see is a person that got little bags under his eyes that he always has. Little bags under his eyes that he always has. He always has those little bags under his eye. Ain't no difference to a picture like this and a picture like this. He looks exactly the same. He looks exactly the same. So in terms of just looking at him, nah, throw that away. I don't think he looked that much different from here to here. And this was after the car accident. I don't think he looked that much different, right? This is also the Ugas fight. I don't think he looked that different. Like he looks to me exactly the same as he looked before. To me, he looks exactly the same as he did before. Now, the other thing is that, he wasn't the same. He just wasn't himself, man. He wasn't himself. And let's switch over to my Facebook.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry about that, Michael Buffer. Sorry we had you on by accident. He just doesn't look like himself. What do you mean? He threw a total of around 640 punches. That's his thing, volume. In the fight with Sean Porter, he threw about 740, 50 punches with Sean Porter. That went 12 rounds. So roughly, he was in the same kind of motion, except this one, he was slightly more punch shy because he was being countered to death, right? While with Sean Porter, it was more of a back and forth where they were both hitting each other and they were both having success. When you don't have success, you're going to be a little bit more punch shy, even though his output was still insanely high for a 147 fighter. But he still had the same amount of output. You know what the Achilles heel, you know what the axiom was that changed everything? It wasn't Errol Spence. It was Bud Crawford himself. It was because he took the stuff that he did. Errol Spence started the fight really good. He was jabbing the same way he does all the time. Jabs, get on the inside, roll his shoulder, get on the inside, use his shoulder to create some space, tries to angle, shoots uppercuts to the body, shoots to the head. He was doing everything he did before. But then Terence Bud Crawford was slipping and hitting him with a sledgehammer jab. Slipping or parrying, sledgehammer jab, parry, sledgehammer jab. So now his form of his weapon of entry for him to throw volume was taken away from him. So now he can't do anything. He can't do what he did before. He could throw wild, but he's almost throwing blind because he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't have the thing that allows him to get inside. But you know why he doesn't have that? It's not because of neurological damage. It's because it was taken away. Anybody who watches that fight and analyzes the artifacts of that fight can see that Terence Crawford, he was doing the things he always does, and Terence Crawford took those things away from him. One of Errol Spence's best performances was against Ugas, which was one fight removed from the Terence Crawford fight. One fight removed from the Terence Crawford fight. And then we have let's put the nail on the coffin in this one. We had a doctor call in to BDA Boxing or whatever. Sound very professional. He looked like he was doing this the whole time. And using every big word in the book. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was an astute observation that you just made there. Doing all of that stuff. Meanwhile, you cannot diagnose neurological damage via video. The only way that a doctor can responsibly diagnose neurological damage is with, and I have it pulled up here, a CT scan, an electroencephalogram, an EEG, MRI, an electrodiagnostic test, a positron emission tomography, a PET, I don't know what that is exactly, a spinal tap, a neurosonography. There's like a billion things you got to do, an ultrasound before you can say that person has neurological damage. Can you look at somebody and say, they have symptoms of neurological damage? Sure. Do you know for a fact? No. So for a doctor, right? And I'm not a doctor, so I don't know why he would do that if he was a doctor, right? But for a doctor to just call in Which, by the way, he's called in before because I listened to the entire show and he said, yeah, I called in before. And they're like, didn't you call for another thing where you were saying that somebody was definitely taking steroids? My man was caught in 4K. He's like, oh, yeah, I did. Cause yeah, that's me. I'm Dr. 805. You know what I'm saying? He's like, well, hold up. Are you a brain doctor or do you know also about steroids? Because you have a certain discipline when you're a doctor. You're either a medical doctor. You're either a nephrologist that just works with kidney disease. You're either, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're either a brain surgeon or a neurological doctor. Like you just not a doctor and now you know everything in the world that has to do with physical health. That's not how it works. So he called before. So he we were peeking through. He called before years ago talking about somebody was taking steroids in a fight. So he clearly loves boxing. He clearly watches boxing. And then he has the audacity to say, the man has the audacity to say, Crawford ain't never do that to nobody before. Did you not see the Molina fight? The Molina Jr.? The Thomas Delorme fight? The Jeff Horn fight? The Ndongo fight? This dude be cooking mad people. He took Ndongo out in 3 rounds. So did Ndongo have neurological damage because Crawford couldn't have taken him out in 3 rounds? And it was a knockout. He took him out by knockout, not TKO, knockout. This man has the audacity to say, yeah, he clearly has neuro. Have you ever seen Crawford do that to somebody ever? Yes. Yes, I've seen him do it a bunch of times. The man does it like it's nothing. He's knocked everybody out at 147. He did this to Kell Brook. He just did it to Kell Brook. What is you talking about? That gives me a sense that the Freudian slip where it's like, oh, you like Spence and you like boxing. You watch boxing. You're not this doctor that's just like, what is this? What is this on my screen? No, that man has neurological damage. What is that young man's name? Errol Spence Jr., sir. Errol Spence, I have to call in and let them know. Heck no, he's calling in to a boxing show because he watches boxing. He's talking about Crawford ain't never do that before because he watches boxing and he doesn't like Crawford and he likes Errol Spence. Now, is he a doctor? Sure, he's a doctor. I'm not saying he's not a doctor. Of course he's a doctor. But once again, CT scan, EEG, EMG, PET has to be done. Spinal tap has to be done. Ultrasound has to be done before you can diagnose someone with neurological damage. You can't do it over the TV screen. So every single talking point of trying to pretend that Errol Spence has neurological damage is thrown out. Now, can you say he has neurological damage? Can he have neurological damage? Sure, because once again, I'm not a doctor. But the same way I could say he doesn't have it is the same way I can't really say he doesn't have it is the same way no one else can really say that he does. And if he does, and if you say, oh no, he does have it, and you're an Errol Spence diehard fan. You're not just a fan of Errol Spence, but you're a fan of the sport. You're just an Errol Spence diehard fan. Then you've hit a rock in a hard place. Was his Ugas performance amazing? Yes or no? Was Danny Garcia a better opposition than anybody Terence Crawford ever fought and more dangerous than anybody Terence Crawford ever fought because he fought Danny Garcia after the car accident? Yes or no? Because this was the narrative that you were using leading up into the Terence Crawford fight. Oh, he ain't never fight nobody like Danny Garcia. So how special was Danny Garcia really? You gotta pick one thing to make it real. Either he had neurological damage because of the car accident, and that's the reason Terence Crawford beat him, or he didn't have it. And he dominated a Danny Garcia. Which one is it? See, this is the thing. They just hope that you ain't never going to bring up that stuff from the past. They're living in the right now. They're living in the right now, hoping that you ain't never going to bring up the stuff in the past. So doctor diagnosing over the TV screen, that ain't a real thing. So push that away. Errol Spence having neurological damage could be a real thing. It could not be a real thing. We just don't know. We just don't know. Now, was that beating a beating of a lifetime? Yes. Was he doing anything different? No. Terence Crawford just nullified everything he does. That's it. Terence Crawford took what he did to other people and said, that's not working at the elite level. Find something else. You think that just an engine is going to beat me? You think that just a nonstop engine is going to be the thing that's going to take me out? No. You need way more than a nonstop engine for me. Way more. And he ain't have nothing else. And because he ain't have nothing else, everybody's like, he was drugged. He has neurological damage. He has this and that. He has. At the end of the day, those are just excuses. I think what did they say when he was like, oh, his timing was off? That's clear signs of no, it's clear signs that you just wasn't beating Terence Crawford to the punch. It's clear signs that Terence Crawford was catching you in between your punches. It's clear signs that Terence Crawford was putting you out of balance, putting you out of position, catching you with sneaky uppercuts. That's all it was. The reason these things, people want to take away from Terence Crawford to say that, oh, this all happened because of Errol Spence. No, it all happened because of Terence Crawford. Had Terence Crawford not been the person that was on the opposite side of him, those things wouldn't have happened. He would have destroyed Ugas after the car accident. He would have beat up Danny Garcia after the car accident. And I don't even have to say would have, because that's what he did. That's what he did. So miss me with the whole neurological damage stuff. Now, once again, I'm not going to say that he doesn't have it. I'm just going to say that nobody can say that he did. All right, let me go to the chat real quick. Hold on real quick. Let me see what you guys have to say. Hold on. Let's see. Man, said the accident and the brain damage wasn't an issue until last Saturday. Errol Spence had one of his best performances against Ugas after the eye injury, after the car accident. Someone explained that one to me. Ugas, who beat Manny Pacquiao. Granted, an older Manny Pacquiao, but not even Keith Thurman could beat an older Manny Pacquiao. So somebody explain it to me. Make it make sense a little bit. You can't. Because the way, the energy you brought when he beat up Ugas is the energy that I want to see for this. Oh no, he's that good. He just lost to Terence Crawford, just that much better. It's just a way to cope. They just don't want to believe. I'm telling you, it's part of their cortex, the frontal lobe, whatever, in the brain is an actual flesh from the constant feeding of that echo chamber for 4 or 5 years. People can't help but try to figure out a way to cope with this. Maybe it's because he wasn't the same that night. Trust me, there's still people that think Manny Pacquiao won versus Floyd, even though Floyd actually won the fight. To this day, more than 5 years removed. More than 6-7 years removed, there's still people to this day that think Manny Pacquiao beat Floyd. You know why? Because for years, they thought Manny Pacquiao would beat Floyd. For years, that was right here for years. And then when Floyd beat him, no, he didn't really win. When you count the punches in the... Meanwhile, that was like Manny's lowest output of all time. Like, this dude didn't throw not one punch in that fight. But somehow, without throwing punches, Manny won. But I digress. Bro, I looked at Spence's ring walk for Ugas and ring walk for Bud. He looked exactly the same. Yeah. He just looks relaxed. He's always like that. He's one of those people. I'm like that. I'm one of those people that you just got that sleepy look in your face when you're resting. When you have a resting face, it's just a sleepy look. He's just that type of dude. And he's also the type of dude that he just talks like, he always talked like that. Now, once again, I'm going to say this because I have to say this. I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying he doesn't have something. Because it was a horrific car accident and it damaged all his teeth. And he had to have reconstructive surgery. Although after the accident, they said that miraculously he didn't have any like fractures or anything like that. So he was okay in that sense. But he could have something. But that same thing he has, he carried that into the Danny Garcia fight, in which he dominated. He carried that into the Ugas fight, in which he dominated. So we can't pretend he didn't dominate in those fights. Now, if he would have had the car accident and then just fight Terence Crawford right after, and then Terence Crawford destroys him, you would have a better argument. But unfortunately for you, he fought two other people that were high level before he fought Terence Crawford. And remember, Ugas gave Sean Porter trouble. Ugas didn't just give beat Manny Pacquiao. He also gave Sean Porter trouble. The same person that gave Errol Spence trouble. The same person that was fighting almost neck and neck with Terence Crawford until Terence figured him out. So Ugas is the real deal. And he laced him. He destroyed him. With the detached retina, after the detached retina, with the car accident. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't be like, look how spectacular he is. And then when he loses to Terence Crawford, be like, man, that car accident 3 fights ago, I think that's that's what happened. You can't do that, bro. You can't. And doctors, please stop calling in and diagnosing people over the phone. You can't diagnose a gentleman with neurological damage. That is an incredibly high diagnosis. You have to be very accurate with that. That requires a lot of technical tools for you to be able to say, yep, you got neurological damage. You can't just be like, I don't know, he definitely has neurological. Keep in mind, I get what he's saying. People have financial vested interests and all this stuff, but he has to go through a process where doctors do a physical exam and clear him to fight. That's part of the entire commissions process. He went through that. And sure, he could say people have financial interests and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. But they're closer to the situation than you are. They're closer to the situation than you. Let's go. Crawford came in with the fishnet, no games on his side, just business. I thought that was fire. Because normally, rarely do you see a person come in with such storytelling in terms of everything. He came in with the momentous music, right? This is your time, like the whole Eminem, which the ethos of that song is this is your moment. Right, so he had Eminem with him right there. And then on top of that, his entire design was storytelling. The fishnet around his shoulder, the fishnet on his trunks is all telling the story of he's finally catching the big fish. He's finally caught the big fish. He's the fisherman. So it was very rarely normally people just come in with fly gear. People just come in with fly gear. Rarely do you have people just come in and have like the whole storytelling outfit. So I thought that was fire. We got a super chat, a $10 super chat by Love C Shorty. What's going on, brother? That fight was hard to watch. I didn't expect domination. I knew it was over when he kept eating that jab, that sledgehammer. Sledgehammer jab. Actually, it was with this hand. Now people gonna call him a bus driver as if this wasn't a fight for Undisputed. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Hold up. You just gave me a $10 super chat. We gotta do the whole $10 super chat. Thank you, brother. Love C Shorty. Guys, if you haven't checked out the demo, go check out Bloody Knuckles Street Boxing. The demo is out now. The demo's still out, right? For people to download? I think so. All right, let's go back real quick. Hold on. Thank you for the $10 super chat, Love C. Let's see. He can only get inside with his right hand, a leaping right hand. He's so predictable. Yeah, and then he started throwing the lunging hook, right? And the reason he was throwing the lunging hook was because he ain't have nothing else. It was a Hail Mary thing. It was a Hail Mary. It was nothing else that he had. So he basically was just like, let's see if this works. Can I just catch him because it's something that I haven't been doing? The problem with that is it's awkward because he's not used to it. When you're doing something that you're not used to, you're thinking about it more. When you're thinking about it more, believe it or not, you're not doing it as fluidly. You're not doing it as succinctly. You're not doing it as like it's not almost like a instinctual movement. There's a big tells that you throw in there. And Terence Crawford was like, although you haven't been doing that all night, I see that thing coming from like 10 yards away. I'm just going to move my head and catch you with a counter. You know what I'm saying? So there was things he was doing, and then, Terence Crawford was taking a picture. Oh, okay, I see that. Oh, okay, I see that. I see that. I see that. Here's the counter for this. Here's the counter for that. Oh, you're doing that? Here's the counter for this thing. Oh, here's the counter for that. Here's the counter for this. Here's the counter for that. And then he was like, oh, well, what about this? And then he's like, you ain't do that today, but Jesus, what the heck is... Boom! Like, you know what I'm saying? It's one of those kind of things where it's like, he didn't even do it efficiently to get it to work. He didn't mold it into something that was a viable tool. He just threw a Hail Mary. He just threw a wild punch, hoping that it would land. And it did not. The only thing I'll take away from that fight was just the absolutely devastating jab Bud had. Oh yeah, the sledgehammer jab. Boom, boom, landing it. Didn't we say it on our prediction? Didn't we say it on our prediction? Hold on, we got a $20 super chat that just came in out of nowhere. Hold on. Kane Marco, take Mob General. Hold on. Let me put this over here. And for the $10 super chat, we definitely have to, for the $20 super chat, we got to do the $20 one.
This the real deal.
The real deal. The real deal. It's the real deal now. 17 years. This is the real deal. Robert Garcia didn't know what he was. Robert Guerrero didn't know what he was looking for. All right, hold on one second. Bro, Crawford was just the better fighter. This isn't a mystery thing. Anyway, unrelated question, but man, you can't ask me that question. You can't ask me that question, unfortunately. But thank you for the super chat. I can't talk about Undisputed on this platform, guys. I'm their content manager. Contractually, I can only talk about it on their platforms. So if you want more information about it, whenever it's going to release for things or whatever, updates, anything like that, just stay tuned to all of our social media. That's Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. We'll be able to give you the information there, guys. All right, let's pull this back up over here. Hold on one second. I want to see what you guys said. What boxer doesn't have head trauma? Yeah. I mean, it comes with the territory, man. It comes with the territory. CTE is real, fam. Crawford is devastating. No. Yes, it comes with the territory. He could actually have trauma after this fight. But we can't diagnose this over the, you know what I'm saying, just because we saw how beat up he was. He need to go to a doctor, get checked out, and see what happened. But in terms of after the car accident, all doctors have cleared him to fight. All doctors have cleared him to fight. Now I need to know what's the situation now after this beating, because this was a beating. Bring in some doctor to give some random opinion as your credible medical source. Conspiracy 101. Oh yeah, and all they got to do is say everything. Oh wow, that's a very elevated thought process there with your astute decision making and clarity within the perceived notion of the teletrometer of 49. So that was actually very intelligent by you for you to say that. It's like, just because the dude's saying all that don't mean he know what the hell he talking about. Like, okay, cool. Teletrometer, gotcha. You still can't diagnose somebody over the phone, brother. You still can't do that. He kind of killed his own credibility with that Crawford statement. I know. He sounded mad realistic. He over here talking about, this and this and that and this and this. And you're like, what the heck? Is this really a doctor? And then he just comes out of nowhere. When'd you ever see Crawford do that? It's like, what? What? That's like the most hating comment I've ever. That's literally like what everybody was saying in the echo chamber of, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you hated Crawford, he ain't never do nothing his entire career. He's only beat up like bums, and he wasn't even that spectacular. When in reality, he was like Ndongo. 3 rounds, he took him out. Kell Brook beating him up from pillar to post. Molina beating him up too. Molina Jr. So it's like, come on, man. This dude's been doing this. He's been doing this. They also accusing Crawford of PD. Man, it's going to be everything under the sun, bro. Gotta be PEDs. Someone's too good. Gotta be PEDs. Yeah, man. You can't be good now. If you good, it's PEDs. If you good, it's PEDs. You can't be good. You can't be good. As I said, we're living in a time of conspiracy. Yeah, man. Yep. Mayweather versus Bud. What do you think? Right now I still would say Floyd. But if Bud Crawford moves up and fights Jermell, becomes undisputed, and then he would have to, for me to confidently say that Bud could beat Floyd, he would have to move even further up and beat Canelo. And then I would say, okay, he could beat Floyd. Because Floyd's resume is one of the best resumes in boxing, period. I know people want to, like, you know what I'm saying, crap on his whole parade, but he got one of the best resumes. This man fought Manny Pacquiao, Juan Manuel Marquez, Miguel Cotto, Shane Mosley, Oscar De La Hoya, Ricky Hatton when he was undefeated, Canelo Alvarez when he was undefeated. He got one of the best resumes in boxing. So it is very tough for me to say that if he could get through that gamut of all those fighters, Maidana twice, if he could go through that, Diego Corrales when he was undefeated and in the pound for pound list, and he was taller, longer, he still overcame that. If Floyd could get through that mountain of difficulty, could he probably still deal with Crawford? Maybe. Probably yes. If I was being safe in my assessment. But now if Crawford moves up and beats Jermell at 154, then moves up and beats Canelo at like 160 or 168, then we got a real tough argument there where it's like maybe he better. Maybe Crawford's actually better. But right now it's hard to say. Hey, after the Crawford, your views jumping. I know, man. I know. Hey, listen. When you put your prediction out there, I think the prediction did a really good positive PR for this channel because the prediction was so on point. Plus, there was a lot of people out there that predicted in terms of a lot of the YouTubers and stuff, there was a lot of people that predicted Spence was going to win. So there weren't many places that people could go to see a celebration of being correct. So I think this was one of the places out of a lot of places that people were like, oh, we're going to congregate over here because this dude was actually right about this. I just need to know what Crawford did to people to make them hate him so much before the fight, of course. He didn't fight in the PBC. It's always team us versus team them. If you're not part of the team, you're against the team. And with Crawford, I think that he was always viewed as an outsider because he wasn't part of PBC. If you're not PBC, and you had to have been in PBC from like the jump from like a long time ago. Because even if you the people that like PBC fighters but don't like Canelo, they not gonna like Canelo now that he signed with the PBC. They still don't like Canelo. Crawford came to the PBC, they still not gonna like him because they still consider him an outsider. Because you can't talk trash for so many years and then just flip your tune because somebody joins the promotional company that you are enamored with. It'll look weird. So they stay on that straight and narrow, making sure that Bud, who he fought and all this stuff, without even understanding that Bud was always better than Errol Spence. He was always better than Errol Spence because Errol Spence only has one way to beat you, and it's his engine. All this talk that he's a better boxer, he's more technically sound, it was all cap. The person who was more technically sound and was the better boxer was always Bud Crawford. Always Bud Crawford. All right, let's move on. Let's see. I think that fight Shakur get cracked once and will be dropped for the first time. Nah, I don't think he's gonna be dropped. His control of distance is gonna be really, really good. I really see him outboxing him. I just think that he will be the hardest person to outbox for him. Fanatico, I think you're wrong. I get all my medical diagnosis over the phone. Dominoes works well. Dominoes works well. What are you talking about? The fishnet was absolutely epic. Who has the worst trunks game in boxing? I don't know. That's hard. Everybody got their little, their own little style. I can never hear the words fishnet ever again after Oscar De La Hoya killed me with the infamous picks. Damn, that's messed up. Did y'all see the documentary? It was actually pretty good. It was like a really good documentary. And I'm not even talking about the content in the documentary. I'm just talking about the cinematography of it. It was like a high level documentary. And he said that there's like part 3 and 4 coming out too. So I guess there's more parts to it. I thought it was only the part 1 and 2, but there's more to it. I'm not gonna mess it up for you. I'm not gonna mess it up. There's a lot of things that he reveals that you're like, really? What? I didn't know that. So yeah, I'm not gonna mess it up. Let's see here. But I think that fight with Shakur get cracked once. I think we clicked that already. Let's move on to a different thing. Man looked like continued screen. Oh, was I buffering for a little bit? So I'm back though, right? I'm back. I hope I'm back. I hope I wasn't just wasting my time right there. Aloha, I hope all is well. God bless. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Aloha Bama. What's going on? Bub versus Jermall and Jermell in a 2v1 handicap tag team match. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. You know the amount of mental stack that comes with that? You have to remember the things that Jermell does and Jermall, and then have the amount of energy to pull it off and at a high level when the other one rested. And that'll be so difficult. It wouldn't even be funny. Like, it would be very, very difficult. The Mayweather cherry picked. I agree. They Mayweather cherry picked. I agree. He cherry picked all champions. Mayweather is the champion of all champions that makes him a grand champion or a grand master. He cherry picked all champions. Yeah, I mean, he cherry picked, sure, because he was the A side. But the cherry picks was freaking Ricky Hatton, Miguel Cotto, Shane Mosley, Canelo Alvarez, Maidana. After Maidana had an explosive performance with undefeated at the time Adrian Broner, who was a rising attraction, right? He was a rising attraction. For people that don't remember, Adrian Broner, DeMarco Antonio, when he beat him, he was like almost about to become a superstar. He was multi-divisional champion. And he got blasted by Maidana. And after that, that's when Maidana fought Floyd Mayweather. So it's like Floyd, and then of course he fought Manny Pacquiao, who was the fighter of the decade. So sure, you could say he cherry picked, but he cherry picked literally the best fighters ever at the time. Like miss me with the whole, but he didn't fight Thurman. Like, the man fought Manny Pacquiao. Does he need to fight Thurman? We saw what Manny did to Thurman when Manny was an old man. A few years removed after he lost to Floyd, he still was able to beat Thurman. Do we really think that Thurman was going to be able to beat Mayweather? Oh, and by the way, Thurman agreed to fight Clarissa Shields. Did you guys hear about this? Thurman is going to fight Clarissa Shields. What do you guys think about that? That's a weird one. It's an interesting one, but it's a very weird one. Floyd beat big names past it other than Corrales and Canelo. Floyd never faced anyone like Crawford. I don't know if he fought anybody like Crawford. I don't think he did. But the question is, can Crawford beat him? Because Crawford ain't never fight anybody like Floyd either. So that's what makes the question hard. What makes it easier for me to lean towards Floyd right now is that Floyd fought like the incredibly tough competition. He had to constantly fight the best fighters in the world for his pay-per-views to be viable. He couldn't just fight anybody. He had to fight the best fighters in the world. If he ain't fight the best fighters in the world, then people is not going to be tuning in. Look what happened when he fought Andre Berto as his swan song. Because really his swan song was Manny Pacquiao. But then he fought Andre Berto and like he got like 500,000 pay-per-view buys. He was doing millions before Andre Berto. So he had to fight the tough fights just to make his pay-per-views actually viable. And he did, and he won them all. So you got to give him credit for that. I don't know. I got real reasons why I don't like Canelo. What's the reason, Gettins? What's the reason why you don't like Canelo? I'm curious. My only loyalty is to boxing. Yes, I have favorite fighters, but I call it how I see it and stick to what I say. And when I'm wrong, I have no problems admitting it. Exactly. For our mental health, that's the best way to go. I'm telling you, there's people on Twitter that were like boxing pundits or whatever that were part of the echo chamber that feel beside themselves. They don't know what to do. They're having rally meetings and stuff, talking about what are we going to do now? Like, we don't know. They're having these like group calls. And like people are putting their group calls on blast and they're like, no, we're going to stick to our guns and we're going to support Errol Spence. We're going to have to say this and we're going to have to say that. Like they're literally concocting excuses so that they can cope with the situation instead of just saying, oh, he won. You don't get credit. Like, by the way, for all the pundits out there that do this, the YouTube thing, you don't get credit for saying, no excuses. Bud won. I'll give him his props. Then 2 days later, 3 days later saying, I don't know, I gave him his props, but look at this. Not taking anything away from him, but neurological damage. Not taking anything away from him, but maybe PEDs. Not taking anything away from him, but look at his gloves. Not taking anything away from him, but you don't get credit for doing that, bro. You don't get to say, oh, I know I said 100 excuses after, like 3 days after, but when he just won, I said no excuses and I just gave him his props. No, you don't get credit for that. You get credit for standing on your 2 feet and going, no excuses, boom, and not retweeting, sharing, and all of these different conspiracy theories to try to say, oh, look, I wasn't that wrong, was I? Look at this. When I predicted that Ryan could possibly beat Tank, when Tank won, you didn't hear a word come out of my mouth talking about maybe Tank this and maybe Tank that and Ryan Garcia was probably this. And no, I said Tank is better than Ryan. I was wrong. Tank is better than Ryan. To me, it took this fight for me to really find out if Tank could deal with somebody that's taller and longer that doesn't lean over. And he proved to me that he can. There ain't no excuses. There ain't no conspiracy theories. Tank is better. You don't get to get credit for saying that, oh, I gave him the credit he would. And then 2 days later, you're just posting stuff all over the place about how it could be this and it could be that and it could be this and it could be that. You're basically chipping away at what the credit that you gave him before. All right. Where can I watch your prediction? Which prediction? The one with Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence? Is that the prediction you're talking about? Avery Walton? Because it's on my channel trailer. You can just look at it through the channel trailer. No, he deserves a world title, but he got close decision at old Spence fight. You guys probably talking about something else. Let me see what you guys are saying. I think Crawford versus Mayweather, it would be a battle of who can adapt better whilst getting their own game across. That's one of the things that is so intriguing about that hypothetical fight. Although it's a hypothetical fight and it's like, man, whatever, it's hypothetical. It'll never happen. unless Floyd does something insane, crazy, and tries to come back in boxing. He will lose. He will lose if he tries to come back and fight Crawford. I'll tell you that much. But we're talking about prime for prime. The fact that they both have an endless pit of adjustments, an endless pit of adjustments. Like that was one of the things that I always criticize these echo chamber pundits when they criticize Bud. They'll look at the Mean Machine fight and be like, "Look at that! He doesn't know how to box. Look, he's getting. Look at Gamboa. He's so little and he hit." You don't understand that. That's actually what shows how good he really is. Because he could take that situation and he turns it on its head and then gets the knockout. He turns it on his head and gets the knockout. Heck, he got dropped by Gamboa, rocked and dropped, and then drops him in the same round. That's how quickly he adjusted and turns it around. They're also forgetting and having amnesia when it comes to the fact that Floyd was getting dominated by Maidana. Dominated. But what does Floyd and Terence Crawford have in common? They both have this endless pit of adjustments. And although it took Floyd a long time versus Maidana, he figured him out. He figured him out. All right. Let's see. Hold on. What's Geddon's game song? You see my Crawford comment though? Then I'll get Canelo. What Crawford comment? I didn't see what you said about Crawford. Oh, hold on. People are trying to take away the greatness of Bud. When Inoue beat the brakes off of Cool Boy, no one made excuses for Cool Boy. Yeah, I think because the thing with Spence, which by the way, that's very honorable of you, because I do know that I think you were pro Spence. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I think you were pro Spence. But you're saying, you're standing on the principle of just. Because here's the thing, too. It goes both ways. What if the fighter that you like actually does win? Would you like the other side to make excuses for your fighter's win? Or would you like them to just accept that your fighter was better than the fighter that they wanted to win? You would be annoyed, too, if it's like, yo, I've been telling y'all this guy's going to win. But now that he won, y'all telling me that he won because of this reason, that reason, this reason. Nah, I was leaning toward Crawford. Oh, okay. I don't know. Who do you got? Who do you have with Devin Haney versus Shakur? Who do you have in that one? Boxing always evolves. I don't have a true GOAT because you have to pay respects to different eras. Yeah, that's true. With evolution, the newer crop of fighters always have a higher ceiling than people of the past. I've always said that. And I get a lot of flack for this, for what you're saying right now, Alien. It's like, you know how we know that athletes now are better than the athletes from the past? Because we actually have data to prove that. We have, like, first of all, people like collectively get better. When there's a goal, the goal is broken. When that goal is broken, this becomes the new goal. In the future, this goal would also be broken. A perfect way to know that athletes are getting better is using sports that have a metric system. Track and field is a perfect way to know, do athletes get better? Because world records are broken. Usain Bolt is the fastest man of all time. Someone will break his record, but he's broken other people's records. He's broken Michael Johnson's record. When Michael Johnson was the fastest man imaginable. But because of sports nutrition, scientific data, the data of the past, before, boxers used to just fight like this. They ain't had no defense. And then somebody said, yo, what if I just go like this? Like, oh, snap, this works perfect. I could, like, the punch hits here instead of hitting my face. This is good. I'm going to do this. And the other person was probably like, what the heck are you doing? No, he can't do that. And then the dude is like, yo, nah, this is perfect. Oh, hey, boom, boom, boom. And and the dude is like, yo, this is unfair. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. I can't. I'm just imagining that this was probably the case. There was probably one person that finally just said, why don't I just do this? And then, and then everybody was like, yo, what the? You can't do that, bro. You can't. Come on now. Stop that. Know what I'm saying? So, so basically, through sports science and through sports nutrition and through the science of nutrition and eating better and evolution and collectively getting stronger and having better twitch muscles, better muscle fibers, looking at the past and taking that information and enhancing it over time, you get better track and field runners. We can 100%, without a shadow of a doubt, say that Usain Bolt is better than Michael Johnson was. Because we know through a metric system, he ran 200 meters faster than Michael Johnson ran 200 meters. He ran 200 meters faster than anybody in history. So because he went from point A to point B faster, we know for a fact we don't got to speculate. But for some reason with boxing, it's because it's so subjective, people want to speculate. But if you really peel back and actually just look at it, the sports science in and of itself, why would it be removed from boxing only, but be prevalent in every other sport and be very evident in sports that have a metric system? The long jump. Somebody breaks that long jump record, that person's going to be better than the people from the past. And we'll know because he literally jumped further. That's why I always use track and field for these kind of things, because it's easier, because it's literally measured. It's measured. So you can't even debate it. It's cut and dry measured. With boxing, it's subjective. But in my opinion, fighters of now are probably better than fighters of the past. Now, if the brain of the fighter of the past came now and then adapted and was a baby and was born in this era, could he adapt to this? That's a different story, but we don't know if they could. We don't know. That's just my 2 cents on that. I know a lot of people romanticize the past fighters, and they should get all their kudos and all their, like their praises, because they did amazing things. But are they technically better than the people now? Like not even in terms of greatness, just in terms of like, if they actually fought, would they beat this person? With all the sports science and nutrition and training and different things that has enhanced since then, new strategies, would they just come with their old school strategy and just beat like a fighter now? I don't think so. I don't think so. This doesn't apply to fighting. Men were tougher before. But how do you know that they were tougher? What makes you think that they were tougher? What makes them tougher? There's people that do bare knuckles fighting right now. If you're going to say tougher, the person who does bare knuckles fighting right now is better than people that wore gloves back then. You see how this starts to fall apart? What makes it tougher? What makes it tougher? What was the thing that made it tougher back then that it did now? Yes, fighters went 100 rounds. I'm not saying that it wasn't hard to go 100 rounds. By the way, they didn't go 100 rounds, 3 minutes each round. If you fell to the floor in any way, if you tripped or anything, the round ended and you went to the next round. And people, and I've done historical research on this. I actually have a video up explaining this stuff from the past in my, back in 2016 on this channel, if you want to go back all the way back there. But people gamed the system back then a lot of times. They game the system, right? So, for example, if you hit me and it hurts, I could just go down. And I could take a break, and now we're going into round 2. And now, because it didn't end at all until somebody didn't get up at all. So if you got hit hard, you could just go down. If somebody cracked you and you didn't like it, you could go down. And be like, oh, round over. Let me take my, you know what I'm saying? Take my breath real quick. Oh, you hit me again? I'm going down again. Round over. And they would do this. This is the reason why different rules started coming into play. This is the reason why different rules started coming into play. Because they had to remove that. Because before, they didn't really have a judging system. So it was just who doesn't get up at all. So people would just get down, get up, next round. Get down, get up, next round. Get down, get up, next round. And they'll do this for like 75 rounds. Now, if you get up, if you go down and keep going down, they're going to call the fight and you're going to lose. So there's not an incentive to do that now. Plus, you'll be in such a deficit because there's only 12 rounds. It's finite. It's not like, not finite, infinite until somebody gets knocked out. So I get what you're saying, but people still game the system back then too. People still work within the rules to try to get an advantage back then too, with the limitations of the rules. All I'm saying is, I'm not saying so much that they're tougher, because boxing is not just about being tough. You can be tough. Errol Spence was tough. Errol Spence was tough. There was no quit in that dude. He was tough. But the style, I don't think the style from the past will be able to overcome the style now. It's too limited. It's too limited in comparison to what they do now in terms of all the things that they've learned and how good they are now. And just the physical elements of the fight itself. Not so much on if they had more heart or all this stuff. Like I said, Errol Spence was tough as nails. Tough as nails. Taking a beating and kept going. Adrian Broner, same thing against Maidana. Took a beating and kept going. But being tough is one thing. Winning a fight is a whole different story. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and end it there because we went over by 16 minutes. But since we're killing it now with you guys, with the concurrent viewers, I'm trying to give you guys that love. Now I'm saying push the little time a little bit more. You know what I mean? Just have a little bit more fun. So thank you again for making this another good live stream, another successful live stream. We're gonna keep it going. Of course, I hope that I've helped put to rest the excuses that have come from the Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford fight. I know I can't put them all to rest, or I can't put it to rest for everybody because, people are going to believe what they want to believe. But hopefully I gave good counter arguments to those things. Until the next one, guys, thank you so much. I'm going to be on vacation, so I'm not going to be here on Friday, unfortunately. I won't be back until, I think, next Friday. So there's not going to be any live streams, but I will be on Twitter. If anything pops up, I'll be giving live updates and stuff on Twitter, just, putting stuff there if there's anything substantial. I do apologize, but this was planned a long time ago. But yes, but I think next Friday, I will be back. We'll be live. We'll talk about boxing. Anything we've missed, we'll talk about it in that live stream. Until the next one, guys. Peace out. I hope you're not too depressed that I'll be gone for a little bit, but I'll be back. We'll have a blast. Don't worry about it. Let me get the Michael Buffer out here for
let's
goodbye.
get ready to
All right, guys. Until the next one. Peace out.